And today it would be really good to talk about what you're seeing in the business world with business owners. And since we've gone down in lockdown, partial lockdown, then full lockdown, and hopefully we're going to start opening the gates now so people can start going back to work and start earning their living again. But I guess in terms of context for this conversation, we've got existing businesses. And with existing businesses, we've got those who have kind of stagnated, like the travel industry or the hospitality industry is really just stuck for being able to do much in that area. We've got businesses who are just surviving and businesses who are thriving. So there's kind of different realm of businesses that are going on. There's businesses who have been forced to shut because they just haven't been prepared for something like this. And then we've also got like 50,000 new businesses registered in August, which is a really new breath of fresh air. But I guess that's probably an impact to people losing jobs as well and finding new opportunities for themselves to start earning any money. So, what are some of the highlights of what are the big themes that you're seeing from a business owner perspective, having you oversee heaps of businesses? What are you seeing at the moment?
Well, like you said, there's a mix of good and bad. I mean, some businesses are doing really well, they're doing exceptionally well. I've got clients in the cleaning industry on a larger scale, and I've got clients in the food industry doing really well, and transport is doing well, clients in transport. The others and the majority are not doing very well. I've got clients in restaurants and bars in the city, disaster. Okay. It's a really dangerous time. I mean, don't forget, we're watching on TV a few months ago, people fighting in supermarkets over getting toilet paper. I mean, that's how crazy this has become. And that, I think that puts things in perspective, seeing people having fights over toilet paper. So there's strange things happening. So we got to be really careful. I mean, we've got to be careful. Things are changing now. Hopefully things open up. Summer's coming. People are going to be out. They're going to be spending money. There's JobKeeper. There's government assistances. We've been doing a lot of them for businesses. This is opportunity now for business to boom. I believe Melbourne's going to boom after we open up. We just got to be careful if there's another stage of this coronavirus, if it impacts us again. If we close down again, it will be a disaster. So you do got to be careful.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep saving things for another rainy day, in effect, okay? Because there's only so much government assistance we can get. And I believe the government's been really good and very helpful in their assistance. And I'm amazed that they gave so much as they did.
And are your clients finding the benefits of the government handouts that are coming through? You're saying that it's really helping the businesses get through this period?
Yeah, and it has, and it's keeping my firm very busy doing that for a lot of clients. And like Mirko said, we don't charge a lot for that sort of thing, because if people are struggling, I don't think you can charge clients for doing that sort of thing. We only charge a little nominal fee of like $125, because people are struggling. You need them to come out good after all this, and then you'll get the benefits back later on. Yeah.
Yep.
So our job at the moment, we're doing a lot of pro bono work, but we're there to help business get back on track.
Yeah.
We really are. That's our goal. And if we're not suffering our firm, but if, we're not getting the benefits like we normally would, but we're happy.
But it's been a tough time for accountants in a way, because as COVID keeps coming out, government keeps coming out with new announcements, new government funding situations and opportunities. It's really been tough on the accountants to try and interpret it. What does that mean, and how much does that mean for your clients individually, which ends up kind of creating you guys into a bit of an advisory space that's unpaid for as well.
Exactly. I mean, but like I said, when all this comes out and finishes and people get back on track, the benefits will flow back. But you're right, all these JobKeeper, JobMaker, all these government grants, Victorian grants, federal government grants, there's a lot of that sort of stuff happening. And the government's doing a great job by getting business back on track. They're putting money out there for people to spend, which is great. I mean, the last one that just brought in the JobMaker, okay, where as a business, you can claim $200 a week for any additional employee that you employ between the ages of 16 to 29 years old, and $100 a week for each employee that you hire from the age of 30 to 35. So it's given young people, hopefully it's going to give young people more opportunity, but businesses are going to want them as the government supporting it. I mean, these are great incentives, and business should take advantage of it. It really should, because it's reducing your cost of labour.
But do you find there's a bit of mentality there that I know some of the business owners I've seen have got that mindset they don't want to take government funding. They want to try and see it through themselves as much as they can. Do you come across many of those business owners? They don't want the government hand.
No, there's a couple. I mean, I've got quite a few clients saying, like, I've received the cash flow boost from my BAS, and he goes, and they've told me we don't want it because we feel like we don't need it, and the government's giving us money when we don't need it. There's other more important people. There is that, but look, the majority do need it, and why not? Because it's just putting money in the economy, and the more money people have, the more they're going to spend.
Yep.
So it does help.
Yep. So during these times, the people who are struggling to get through and might have been limited with their earning capacity right now, what do you see? What kind of things are you seeing that they're doing to get themselves through?
Well, they're trying to spend the least amount possible. It's difficult for some people, very difficult. I mean, they're just surviving on JobKeeper or the government business grants. Yeah, some people, that's all they're surviving on. So they're just keeping a low profile. The government's helping. I mean, they're helping with this in relation to Anthony's business, $125,000 grant for people who are renovating homes. So, you know, you get that sort of thing. There's small business grants which are helping people, and like I said, you just try and do the best you can, Cindy. It's the nature of people. You know.
Yep. But do you find people who prepare themselves better in business, who think things through a little bit, maybe protect themselves, have a bit of thought in terms of not just surviving, but really playing the game of business so that they are building a business?
Yeah, and now's the time for a business to reinvent itself as well. Okay, you've got to strengthen your digital part of the business, because that's the way the world's turned. Has been going for a long time. You've got to really plan for that. I mean, during these quiet times, you're right, people should be planning how they can adapt their business to new opportunities while still pursuing their current stuff. But have a look at other stuff, what's out there. Have a look at the online space. You know, have a look at your staff working from home. Maybe you don't need your office space where you pay a large amount of rent, you know. So, I mean, they're all thinking of all these things. How do I reduce my costs? How do I do my business different? How do I get on the online space? Because that doesn't take a lot of labor. So, challenging times, you do got to reinvent yourself. Okay, you got to rebound, reinvent, and do what you can. Absolutely. Now, another bonus of that is Australia's AAA credit rating, which is fantastic for this country because it keeps our interest rates low. So we've never had low interest rates this low ever. So the opportunities are there. If you want to take it, the opportunities are there. There's incentives for business here, big ones. So this last budget, okay, for business in Australia, there's things you got to take advantage of. There's extension of the JobKeeper program for your staff, okay, which is great. It's going to help business a lot. There's the job maker one for employing people. There's they've extended the instant asset write-off for 150,000 up to the end of June. 30th of June now, which is great. It was supposed to end 31st December. So buying assets up to 150,000, you write off straight away. You don't have to depreciate. That's a massive advantage. It's going to create a lot of business, right? For business as well, your depreciation schedule in your business, okay? You can write the whole thing off. You don't have to depreciate it anymore, which is huge as well. There's the reduction in PAYE due withholding for employees is going to be, that's which also puts more money in business. So there's all these things. They're not little, they're big. So as a business, you've got to take advantage of these now, because once it stops, you're going to regret not doing it. It happens all the time. The end date happens, and I get business come to me, oh, can I go back and do it now? So take advantage.
So,
I know
Rob,
it's a cash flow issue, but it's going to improve
I'd
your
just
cash
like
flow.
to add something from a risk assessment advisory sort of aspect. There's currently protections in place for directors of companies that previously a director of company could be personally held liable for some transactions that the company enters into if it can't afford the transaction. Okay, that is currently on hold. The government put that on hold until the 31st of December. But it's really incumbent on all business owners, all company owners and directors to take the time to have a look at their business, to speak to their accountants, lawyers, and other advisors before the 31st December, before December ideally, to work out what their position is, so they can work out whether they can continue trading going forward, or if they need to pull the plug now to avoid that sort of personal liability. I know it's a bit of a negative message, but it's important to speak to your accountant, speak to your lawyer, and make sure that you're protected and you're making the right decisions.
that's a really good point, Nathan, in terms of really thinking about whether or not you're viable to keep going.
Yep.
And if you're not, really make the decision and work it out with your accountant and your lawyer so that you can exit gracefully.
And that's it. And the difficulty is these protections that the government's put in place until the 31st of December, if a business is in trouble, the only way for a director to avoid personal liability is for the company to be put into liquidation by the 31st of December. You can't turn around in January and say, oh, we'll put the company in liquidation and then expect that same protection, because it won't apply anymore. So the decisions really have to be made, before Christmas.
Dates are more important now than ever before, with all these government incentives and that as well.
Yep.
And as a business owner, what I find with clients is that they're too busy to think of all these things, but they have to know.
And so now's the time you need to have a good hard look at your business, speak to your accountant, speak to your lawyer, and make plans for next year. Because if you can pull through, with the understanding that JobKeeper is not going to last forever, and these BAS payments that are magically appearing on your BAS, that the ATO is handing out money is fantastic, but that's not going to go on forever. And if business is in a situation where it's not going to be able to trade properly for the next year, you need to get some advice and make some decisions well before Christmas.
True.
Nathan, just a quick question on that, if I can. Does that mean that if that action is not taken before the 31st of December, that any funds or support received from the government could potentially be clawed back?
No, that's not my understanding. What the 31st of December drop dead date is really for the protection of the personal liability of directors in a company. So if the company has entered into transactions and bought stuff that are or agreed to stuff that it really can't afford or shouldn't have been able to afford, they're what are called insolvent transactions. So the company couldn't afford them. Under the law previously, the directors can be held personally liable for those transactions. Because the companies were invented to give give people an extra layer of protection when they're running a business. And this law is the insolvent transaction law is designed to go behind that and make company directors personally liable for transactions a company enters into when it can't afford it, when it's under their control. that the government's put a hold on that until the 31st of December. But you need to make decisions before then about what's going to happen, because if a company that you're a director of goes into liquidation in January, you can potentially be personally liable for any transactions that's happened all this year, because the company's gone into liquidation then. Whereas if the company were to go into liquidation in December, before the 31st of December, you'd be able to have that protection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's really kind of the way people have set their businesses up as well, the structure and how they've done that protection strategy as they set themselves up in business is a big help in terms of helping them through that period as well as this insolvency protection.
But the big thing is just, look, I know everyone's busy and trying to keep their businesses afloat and things in these times, but it's important to take the time to really have a look at your business, have a look at the what's going to be happening, the projections over the next year or two, and speak to your accountant, speak to your lawyer, get some advice, because it's important to make sure that if you're going to be able to go ahead, you can take advantage of all the things that are in place, like the instant depreciation Rob was talking about of assets and things like that. Or if it's a situation where your business is in too much trouble, you might need to be make the decision to pull the pin. You might need to be in a situation where you make that decision this year before the 31st of December to give yourself the most protection you can.
Yeah.
Well, going on with that, when things aren't going well, you retract, okay? Now, that's what the JobKeeper and all that's done. It's helped people stay employed, even though they're getting a bit less money. Some are getting more through JobKeeper. You retract your business. You don't go out, you're not spending on materials, you're not spending money on staff and things like that. So you retract, and that's what the government's helped. When things get better, you just got to be ready when it gets better just to get out there and boom, and take it on, yeah? There's incentives to employ young people, which is going to reduce your costs as well. Just be ready. When things like an ant or a snake will go back in its hole when it's getting attacked and things aren't, that's what business does as well. But when it's ready to go, it comes out and it just takes it all on. So, there's no one solution for every business, but you just got to do the best you can.
That's it. So just take the time to have a look at your business and get some advice on the options.
Yeah.
And there's good incentives to really get out there online and make yourself competitive on the market to own your digital platforms.
And the government is giving great incentives for research and development as well. They're upping the funding on that. So new business ideas, there's a lot of funding out there. So
Rob, that's worth talking about, the R&D tax incentive. Is it worth mentioning just in here in terms of, innovation or doing research and development and what you can get back for exploring a new idea or opportunity?
Yeah, you can get up to 50% of your costs at the moment. So it's pretty good. There's a lot of funds out there, but it is difficult. There's a lot, how do you spend all that money? And you've got to spend money on the advice to make sure you can get that research and development as well. If it's a new idea, but they're all the processes you've got to put in place straight away. And
it's just about tracking all the costs, isn't it? So that you can claim it at the end of the financial year.
Well, but you've got to do the application to the government to make sure you're going to get the research and development as well. Okay, so you got to do all that. You got to think before you start as well and put the processes in place to cover yourself.
Yeah. All right, and there's 45% back. It jumped from 42%, didn't it, for R&D research?
Yes,
That's a nice little bonus in the budget as well this year.
Yeah.
Were you happy with the budget this year? Do you think it was good for business?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I think it's had a positive outcome as well. I mean, we've kept our AAA rating. People seem quite happy with the budget. It's all about getting business back on track.
Yeah.
So
Key
I think
takeaways
it's really
here
good.
is out of today's session is really keep looking for the opportunities with government. Be proactive about where your business is going and how much planning you're putting in place for this year, for next year, keeping a forward-thinking framework ahead. Take advantages of the government opportunities to help keeping you stay supported in business throughout this time. If you need any tough decision making, you've got until the 30th end of this year really to have some kind of protection over your position. If you need to make any of those tough decisions, stay proactive in business. And I think a really good one is have a really good support team around you of people that you trust, so you can keep bouncing ideas and making decisions that you need to make for your business with the people you trust and recognise for their expertise. Rob, do you have any parting words? We really thank you very much for being here, and Nathan. It's been really good having you guys here. Rob, have you got any words of wisdom, those pearls to...
Well, no, just what I said before about taking advantage of what the government's offering now, and get ready when we're out of this COVID scenario. Just get out and really get your business online. Get out there and just do as much as you can. There's incentives, there's JobKeeper, there's JobMaker. Employ people. Do what you got to do. Just get that business out there, because I've got a good feeling about this summer. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone. The VCCC will probably do another boardroom lunch like this for people again next month, so that we can bring another expertise in and be a bit of business support for each other during these times. Look out for each other, and memberships are due, I think, on the website, but come along next month and hear the next presenter talking and sharing about other tips to keep you looking forward in your business. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see you all.
Bye.